Somebody was wishing me well and giving a little talk. Apparently public speaking is terrifying for some folks. Thankfully I have some experience, background in it. But anyways, they wished me well and reminded me of the new trend in the death and burial industrial complex. Glass coffins remains to be seen. I'm grateful for the opportunity. This is a tough one for me. I wanted to be bubbly and meaningful and uplifting, and there are certainly a lot of gimmies, like our family, our friends, our community. Teachers came to mind, coming from a family of educators. I could rattle off, Mrs. Karlstrom, Mr. Geyer, Mrs. Anderson, Mr. Forsleen, Mr. Jordan, Mr. Slattery, even though he cut his toenails on his desk during class. Mr. Snyder, Mr. Kaloji, and those are just some of the educators. There's been so many amazing teachers in my life, including some people in this room who have been very generous and kind. But that's not where I'm going to go. What my brain brought me to, whether I wanted it or not, was failure, misery, arrogance, and hurt. And I don't like dwelling there, but they brought me to a better place, and I'll tell you a little bit how. Isn't failure fun? Whether you fail yourself, you fail somebody else, you fail an institution, I don't know, I can't imagine a person of character does not come to terms with having to deal with having failed somebody. And whether it's harder when you do it to yourself or you do it to somebody else, that's between you and your flying spaghetti monster, but I think they all stink. But they create some of the greatest successes, and I'm so grateful for that. For example, failing to practice restraint in choices resulting in somebody getting abysmally hurt taught me that my choices affect other people, and it's up to me to remember when and how that happens. Heartbreak, one of the worst, I could go on, things that ever happened to me. The woman I thought was the love of my life broke my heart, and it was awful, but after years of coming to terms with what happened, I was so grateful that it taught me that I was basically a high-functioning, codependent addict of a sort. And that's a terrible way to navigate a relationship for yourself, let alone putting that on somebody else. It's not fair, and even though I hated that experience and I still regret it, that needed to happen. So I'm grateful for that pain, that failure to recognize, so it gave me the space to course correct and adjust. Different person, and I'm also very grateful for having hurt somebody so badly. It was singularly one of the worst things that ever happened to me in my life, and I would not ever want to do that again to anybody, but I'm so grateful that I had to go through that to teach myself both how to love me, but also how to love in a healthy way, and to become a better version of myself, such that in the relationship I'm in now, there's nothing but truth, clarity, transparency, honesty, in as much as I can communicate that in real time. I did not want to have to get to this point that way, but that's what needed to happen, and I'm grateful for that woman so firmly stomping me after I made some terrible choices. That is something I will be eternally grateful for. I'm also grateful for arrogance, and I hate saying this, but I used to think, being a stoic Minnesota boy, I was slightly above average. They teach it to you every Saturday night when you're growing up as a kid. It's inevitable. I mean, especially in a thoughtful family where pretty much the only radio stations were the oldies, the Twins games, and yes, Minnesota Public Radio. So grateful for that. Anyways, in my arrogance, thinking I was slightly above average, to be taught that, no, you're not. You are not. The things you think you're right about, even if you're right, some people are going to think you're wrong. Has anybody seen results of recent elections? No matter what you think you thought was right, you were proven wrong a little bit. No, a lot of it. Which reminds me of being grateful for my mother, because one reason I know I'm her child is we always assume, for better and for worse, and repeatedly mistakenly, that other people are going to be the same type of rational actor you think you are. Surprise! No. And that is a great lesson and reminder of gratitude for humility. All the arrogance, self-righteousness, buffing of one's ego, it's not real other than it is in the qualitative nature of the engagements you have right in front of you. And to sum up, all those painful, awful things make me grateful for one of the most important things we have in this world, and that is redemption. Whether it's a faith practice or not, we are all redeemable and can come to a better place. Give yourself the grace, the time, the space, and be grateful for those around you who will help you get there.
Good morning. Glad you're here. When I was first asked to give this short talk, I almost said no. We'd just lost our friend of about 9+ years, Huxley, the old English sheepdog. And we're still grieving, but then I remembered all the support and sympathy I got from the group here, and how they kind of held us and kept us in their gentle, loving arms and supported us. I thank you all for your support. We're very grateful for that. Then I realized I was thankful for some other things too. First, I was thankful for 54 years of marriage. It hasn't always been smooth, but I don't think any relationship for 54 years is exactly smooth, but it's been enjoyable. We have 2 lovely daughters, both teachers, and they're both doing well. But most of all, I think I'm thankful for the ability, shared ability, of us both to be flexible. I think that was particularly evident when our first child was born. We had a decision to make. Conventional wisdom said that Diane should quit working, become a stay-at-home spouse, and I should continue working to support the family. Well, I was fine as far as it went, except that Diane had the flagship employment. She was making the most money, was working for IBM and had huge benefits. And I was working for a little parts store with no benefits and probably 1/3 of the salary, maybe not even that much. So we talked about it. And Diane expressed no desire to particularly leave work. She wanted to stay home as far as it was medically necessary to be able to recover and for long enough for us to get accustomed to life with a new baby. But she really didn't want to stay home. So we decided that I would stay home with the new addition which at that time, this was 1983, I was rather radical, but it worked wonderfully. Not only did I become a stay-at-home husband, but when our second child arrived, I became an in-home daycare provider, then a preschool teacher, later a Head Start teacher, and finally a paraprofessional substitute working with special needs children in the school district. It was a second career for me and one that I came to love. While I was being successful in this new endeavor, Diane was rising steadily in computer design testing. When she retired, she was a senior level development engineer and holds several patents that for various innovations that were made. All through this time, we would both put, at least I feel, we would both put the good of the family ahead of our own ambitions. And I am incredibly grateful for this. Thank you for listening.
Kind of waterworks this morning. I'm so thankful for this congregation. And Andrew, thank you so much for your vulnerability. And Warren, thank you so much for your story. To be 100% honest, I ran through my talk this morning, and I thought, this is so long-winded, pedantic, hard to follow, and just extremely inauthentic. It had occurred to me that I really struggle verbally expressing myself. I think a lot of us do, but I'm a musician and a songwriter, and I've got a firework brain that's just going over here and here and here and here and here. And so my most authentic form is writing. I can take the experiences that I have and kind of close myself off from the world, mull it over musically, lyrically, and then spit it out. However, I did not want to cop out from public speaking. I'm not going to let myself too much off the hook. So I would just like to tell you a few brief points that I was going to talk about, whether they are linear or not. And then I'm going to sing a song about gratitude. So I am so thankful for songs. This is what I wanted to express in my talk. I love that there are songs to express every emotional occasion. Sorry, thank you. Just sniffing and talking. If you're going through a breakup, post-election blues, loneliness, existential angst, I go through that all the time. There are many songs for that occasion to lean on. There's also songs for gathering, songs for friendship, songs about nature, songs about Unitarian ideology that can help us feel less alone in our ideologies and in our emotions. The song that has been getting me through this season is Joni Mitchell's River. Do people know that song? Yeah, and I'm such a lyric junkie, so the lyric that just keeps coming back to me is, I wish there was a river I could skate away on. You know, it's like when things are painful, sometimes you just want to run away, you know. And so I'm so thankful for that song. Songs help us serve as a vehicle for deeper and more authentic connection with each other. They can get us past the empty how are yous and awkward talk about the weather. 2 weeks ago, we sang Holly Near's I Am Willing, which is a powerful ballad that is expressing sadness but also relentless hope during politically trying times. And I know that many people were touched, and it led us to deeper conversations about our collective pain about what's happening. I also want to be aware or express awareness that we all don't connect with music or songs the same way. So I don't want to naively just say, oh, well, you feel the same about this and I feel the same about this. But it truly can connect us through our collective emotional experiences. Lastly, the art of songwriting can be a meaningful form of expression who have a very difficult time expressing themselves verbally. I have always struggled with social anxiety. I always feel like I'm kind of putting on a mask or a front. But I yearn for a deeper connection. I truly want to express deeper things and convey things and share more poignant emotions about existence. So without further ado, I'm going to share a song about gratitude that I wrote 12 years ago and thought it would be fitting. After the service, if you want to tell me what your favorite songs are and why, I'm happy to hear. Love hearing your favorite lyrics, but I hope that you can take some time to reflect on what songs mean the most to you and why. So here's a song.
Sometimes we think joy is light years away, but little do we know we've got a smile waiting on our doorstep. Yes, I know gratefulness doesn't come easy, but once you got it down, happiness just falls in your hand. I've learned to love what the great world has planned. The icicles melt out my heart, I don't know how I got the blue. I found the light, I'm so glad those dark days are gone. Every time I'm in doubt, I proudly sing this song. I've got one heart, two shoes, three wishes that could come true, four seasons the year brings, 5 fingers to pluck these 6 strings, 7 days and my wicked friends to keep me on my feet. Look, I started my list on what life was truly this. Ready to dance, ready to laugh, ready to song, ready to sing. So drop your heavy load right now and come rejoice with me. Why does everyone think the price of a simple smile is just too expensive? 'Cause I'm telling you, dirt cheap. This feeling's so contagious, it's like a secret I just can't keep. The articles melt out my heart, I don't know how I got so blue. I found the light, I'm so glad those dark days are gone. Every time I'm in doubt, I proudly sing this song. I've got one heart, 2 shoes, 3 wishes that could come true, 4 seasons the year brings, 5 fingers to pluck these 6 strings, 7 days and my wicked friends to keep me on my feet. Look, I started my list on what life is truly this. I've got one heart, 2 shoes, 3 wishes that could come true, 4 seasons the year brings, 5 fingers to pluck these 6 strings, 7 days and my wicked friends to keep me on my feet. Look, I started my list on what life was truly this. Life is truly this.
Good morning. You've not seen me at any circle suppers, humanist or Buddhist groups, men's group, and I rarely stick around for coffee after the service. So it might come as a surprise to you
that I offer my thanks today for the UUFB. At important times in my life, I have found the support I needed with the Unitarian Universalist congregation. More than 30 years ago, I planned to help my daughters develop a spiritual life based on humanist values, including reason, compassion, and hope. At the same time, I started work as an intern in a family medicine program at Eastern Maine Medical Center and quickly realized that I had no discretionary time. As I researched alternatives to assist me with this task, I discovered the Unitarian Universalist congregation in Bangor, Maine. The congregation was small, but dedicated. The religious education program was exactly what I was looking for. The approach involved exposure to various spiritual traditions, and it encouraged curiosity about the same. Having grown up Roman Catholic, going as far as attending a junior seminary from the ages of 13 through 17, I grew disillusioned with that church, but found myself extremely anxious anytime I thought about leaving. The philosophy of the Unitarian Universalist resonated with my matured beliefs so completely that it became a natural progression. We were active in the congregation through the 3 years of residency and my first year of practice. But facing repayment of my school loans on the salary of a primary care physician, we decided to make a move to eastern Montana, where, for a 3-year commitment, I took a job in exchange for full repayment of my loans. Afterwards, we planned to return to Maine. Unfortunately, I learned the closest Unitarian Universalist church was over 200 miles away in Billings. So I joined the church of the larger fellowship for a while, but drifted away while working in a busy practice and raising kids. The 3 years passed quickly. During that time, we fell in love with the area and decided to stay. And then, more than 20 years later, I found myself further west and learned there was a fellowship only 30 miles away. I had every intention of joining right away, but months passed with no action on my part. It was not until I faced the sobering results of the 2016 presidential election, feeling an intense need for support, that I remembered the Unitarian Universalist Church in Bozeman. Just as I had found earlier in life, this community provided the sustenance and guidance that I needed. I am truly thankful for the Unitarian Universalist Association, our church, and this congregation. I take part where I can. If I value this so much, why do I leave so quickly on Sundays? For over 40 years of marriage, work and raising children took most of my time, but that's changed now. My wife does not attend the fellowship for reasons that aren't important for this talk. The 2 hours it takes to travel to and attend our Sunday services is time well spent, but I feel a strong pull afterwards to get home and spend the rest of the day with my partner. My work schedule and Livingston home make it difficult to attend functions during the rest of the week. I do volunteer for a committee and the occasional work crew, but I'm not able to come over the hill for special programs and social events. Finally, and maybe the most significant, I must admit that I'm an introvert. My years as a Navy corpsman forced me to come out of my shell when working with patients. I got more practice in my chosen career. In my professional role, I do okay. In other settings, however, it's still a challenge. So when you see me heading out the door each week, rest assured, my heart is still with all of you. Thanks.